Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxings.com, and here I have in this plain black box the Acer Stream, which is actually one of the newest Android smartphones available, and this one is also currently exclusive to expansis.com. So we're going to take a little look around the handset and do an unboxing video. So handset is immediately on top, and we're going to come back to that in a second. Just want to see what other accessories and other bits and pieces we have. The box does kind of split open in a rather unusual way, and inside we have this is a USB to micro USB sync charge cable, and in the other side we have just a few other bits and pieces really. We have a USB style charger with a USB connector on the top, and then a 3-pin UK plug which obviously goes with that, so in order to actually produce a charger. And that's really it. So this isn't the full retail package. The box design is much as the retail is going to be, but we are obviously missing things like the manual, screen protector probably is going to be in there, and a wired headset. So we are missing a few things from the review unit that you would expect to find on the retail. So let's take a look at the handset. On the front we have a 3.7-inch display, which is WVGA 480 by 800 pixels. It's capacitive touchscreen. The 3.7-inch display, as you can see, has got a fair amount of bezel around the outside, and there's a fair amount of device around the screen, which makes the device a bit larger than, say, the 3.7-inch display would suggest. But that's just the nature of this handset. We have a home button, search, back, and a menu button, which are fairly typical of Android handsets. Although the home button is actually a physical push button, it is a proper physical button. The other buttons are touch sensitive. And then we have a series of buttons underneath, which are their actual operation depends upon the context in which they're used, really, on what's actually happening on screen. There is a loudspeaker just at the top, and you'll notice there's no forward-facing camera. On the left-hand side, we have the power button, an up and down volume control. That's really all we have there. On the bottom, again, nothing much to see. There's a tiny little hole, which is your microphone. And over on the right hand side we have a dedicated camera button, and then a cover over a micro USB for sync and charge, and then a micro HDMI connector, because this Acer Stream does actually have HDMI output, which is cool. So you can output HD footage using an HDMI cable, which isn't supplied with my review unit, but may or may not come with the retail pack. So we're not sure on that at the moment, but you can output over HDMI, which is pretty cool. On the top, really the only thing we have is a 3.5mm headphone connector, so you can use your own standard 3.5mm headphones. On the back we have a 5-megapixel autofocus camera, which is also capable of recording HD at 720p. Not sure the frame rate, but it can capture HD footage, 720p. No flash though, and there's no mirror for self-portraits, which is a bit of a shame, but it's not included. Back cover pops off like so. Then we have, if I remove the battery, battery is pretty large and seems to be quite difficult to remove. There we go. So the battery is fairly large. It's 1400 milliamp hour. It does occupy quite a large portion of the back there. SIM card goes in this slot just underneath there, so it just slides in place, and then a micro SD card there as well. No micro SD card installed though. That just does pop in like so. Looks like you could probably just about get to the micro SD card, but not the SIM card without taking the battery out. Obviously in either case you do have to remove the back cover. So let's just power up, holding down the button on that side. It'll take a moment or two to power up, so while it does, let's have a look at the specification. So it's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor running at 1 GHz, which is pretty good. And say 800 by 480 display, or 480 by 800 in fact, is an AMO LED display, so it is pretty decent, and does look quite colourful. 5-megapixel autofocus, obviously we've already mentioned. It's got 512 meg of RAM and a 2 gig of internal ROM, which is very good. Not many devices have such a large capacity in terms of ROM. Most expect you to actually use the micro SD card. Micro SD card supports up to 16 gig according to spec. It does seem that a lot of devices at the moment are saying 16 gig being the maximum, and I'm not sure if that's something that's going to be upgraded, or if that's an accurate claim really. We do have also built-in GPS, digital compass, Google Maps, accelerometer, proximity sensor and a light sensor, which is pretty standard. Capable of hands-free, voice dialing and all those sorts of things. 2G connectivity is quad band, and 3G connectivity is tri-band, which is very good. It means basically you're going to be able to use the Acer stream when you're roaming in practically every country, which is very good. So if you want to take the handset on holiday, you should be able to get coverage. We've also got a Bluetooth 3.0, probably the first handset that we've come across that has Bluetooth 3.0. Micro USB connector on the side is USB 2.0 compliant, and then obviously we've got that HDMI connector, so we try to have a look at that when we actually do the full review. So that's enough for the specification. Let's actually take a look. See the accelerometer working there, as you can see. Pretty quick. So let's touch the Android to begin, and we're going to, well, let's have a quick look through the setup. Goes through setting up, telling me that I don't have a SIM card. So we'll connect via Wi-Fi, and we're going to add a Wi-Fi network, and hopefully we can pick one up. And we'll just pick one. We'll just pick the one with the best coverage. Let's do that now. And actually, while I actually type that in, you can see that it does bring up the QWERTY keyboard, which is a fairly typical sort of Android style QWERTY keyboard. It's quite large. Obviously, we have a nice size display anyway to help you see that keyboard. So. Okay, and after about 30 seconds we are connected, so we can go through here and we can sign into our Google account. Well, I'm going to do that because it does make things easier a bit later on, so let's go and sign into that. I'll wait for that to sign in. I must say that the haptic feedback on the keyboard is pretty good, so every time you touch anything on the screen there's a small vibrate from inside. That does work quite well. I'm pretty impressed with that. So let's actually set that up. We'll automatically set the time, and we use 24-hour format. Yep. And finish setup. So you've got a little synchronization at the bottom, as you can see. Okay, and so we've got a status bar not in the typical place. Most devices, specifically, especially Android, have a status bar at the top, and you'll notice the status bar is kind of just under the center. That's kind of interesting and kind of different from this handset. We can touch here, we can get into the phone dialer, and again, because it's a capacitive touchscreen, it doesn't require any pressure to actually make it work. It's just the slightest touch. So that is how the dialer works. And obviously we can have a call log, contacts and favourites. I haven't set those up clearly because it is the first time you use the handset, so that's why that's not working. So this area underneath here stays on screen at all times. It's kind of it's a bit like having widgets on your desktop or shortcuts on your desktop. These can be the most used, so you can actually customize these. You can add more. So we can add a shortcut or a folder. So we add the most popular applications there that we use. That's the idea of that. We can also, and it's telling me how I can do this, but I can actually swipe across the top here, and that will show me the applications that I've got running and that are most recently used. But I can also hold here, and I can add wallpapers and widgets and sounds and all sorts of other bits and pieces, so actually customize that display. So if I didn't like that background, I could change that, and I could change it for something that's a bit different. So there we go. I could change it to something else that suits my style a little bit more, perhaps. Swiping across the top, as I say, does actually show you what you've used recently, and you can clear that history. If I want to see all of the installed applications, that's easy enough to do. I can push the button at the bottom, and it brings up the full menu. So you do still have your main or your most used or favourite shortcuts at the top. I managed to press camcorder by mistake there. Let's come back. Then all the applications are listed below, and we can swipe across, and we've got sort of 2 pages worth. TwidDroid is actually pre-installed, barcode scanner, RoadSync mail, which does suggest that there's no other way of synchronizing Exchange. We'll have a look at that in a second. We've got gallery and a few other bits and pieces. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at the browser and let that start up. I'll push the menu button on the side. I'm going to go to stop, and I'm going to type in the address. There we go. I only moved out of shot because it's easier to type. As you can see, that's loading pretty quickly, obviously over broadband and using Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi, once it's working, does seem pretty good. It did take a while to set up, but it is now working. And the AMOLED display is pretty good. I mean, well, it's fantastic. In fact, AMOLED is definitely a fantastic technology. What you're not really going to be able to appreciate over the recording that we've got here, but I think the thing that really stands out with AMOLED technology is how good things like this orange and the green are, and even all the colours really do stand out very well. But orange and green seems to be the thing that make it immediately obvious that you're looking at an AMOLED display. It is very good, and actually, in actual fact, even at full screen there, you can. Backlight's just gone off, so we'll turn that back on. And we'll swipe to unlock. That's an unusual swipe to unlock. Peel the page back. Even the text here is readable. I mean, it's very small, and I have to hold the handset fairly close to my face, but it is actually legible, which is impressive. Obviously, we can scroll around, double tap to zoom in, and we can use 2 fingers. So it's multi-touch, so we can use 2 fingers to zoom in and out of areas, which is quite good. Obviously zoom around. So the browser is very good. I mean, it's pretty much as we come to expect, really, from Android handsets. They do seem to have excellent web browsers, generally speaking, anyway. So we can rotate the display, or handset, and display rotates landscape to suit. And again, text is easily legible there. So that is very good. We'll come back out of there. We go back home, push the button, we push the menu button at the bottom. We can also have a look at YouTube, see how YouTube performs, and we'll do a Google search for Leo D. See, it's doing predictive, which is kind of annoying. I'll probably turn that off, but there we go. Let's search for Leo D, which is my YouTube channel name. So we can see some of the things that we've got recorded on here. We can see my Nokia C6 Mega unboxing. Let's see how long that takes to load. It's obviously taking quite a while. Oh, I think we'll probably abandon that. Again, I've mentioned this in previous videos, but this is much more to do with the connection speed I experience here living in the middle of nowhere than the actual handset, so don't read too much into that from the handset demo point of view. Have a look at Google Maps. Again, we may have an issue with connectivity here. Okay, and you can see the icon in the corner is actually flashing away to say that GPS is active and it has found the location. So we can use 2 fingers to zoom in and out, which is pretty cool. It's a fairly typical implementation of Google Maps, really. And if I swipe again at the side now, you can see all the other applications that I've used. So Maps are there, YouTube's there, you can scroll across, the dialer, there's a web browser for Google, your Foos, whatever that is, the camera and the dialer. We can clear that history, and it actually does just remove the bar from down the side as well. Just push the button at the side again. We'll have a look at the camera, and by way of comparison, before I actually take a picture with the camera, I bought in the HD2, because I know a lot of people are probably familiar with the size of the HD2. HD2 is a pretty hefty handset, so you can get a comparison there of what the HD2 is like against the Acer Stream. They're very similar in size. This Stream is slightly narrower, not a great deal, but in physical dimensions they're very similar. The Stream being slightly thicker, chunkier. That measurement on the Stream is 119.5mm from top to bottom, 63 wide, and 11.2 thick, weighs 126 grams. Now the HD2 is definitely heavier, but in terms of the comparison size, as you can see there, they're physically of a similar size, more or less the same in fact, in terms of physical size. However, the Stream has a 3.7 inch display and the HD2 has a 4.3, because the HD2 has a screen that goes all the way to the edges. Obviously this is a dummy model, but the screen goes all the way to the edges on the HD2, whereas the Acer Stream has that bezel around it. But that's just by way of comparison. The Stream does have an AMOLED display. So again, we'll just peel back, and we were talking about the camera, so we'll use the HD2 to take a snapshot and use the button on the side. Can't use the camera without you having an SD card installed, of course, but never mind. For the sake of demonstration, you can see what the camera is like there on the display. It's reasonably good, but we'll obviously take plenty of sample photos when we come to do the full review. You can see that Facebook is also pre-installed, and in terms of other applications, we've looked at YouTube and Google Mail's there. If I go to Google Mail, that will have already set up, because obviously I set up my Gmail account when we first started. So there we go, we have Gmail there. And if I go back home, go back to the menu and go to the Market, Android Market, it will again go straight into it, although I'll have to accept the terms of service, which will take a second or two to do. I can accept the terms and conditions, and it will draw me straight into Android Market, because it is all connected to your Gmail account. Obviously taking a second or two to load, but there we go. So that's our Android Market, and we can obviously download free and paid for applications. And let's also look at email. So it looks at Gmail, look at ordinary email, and we'll set up an email account. We're actually going to set up a dummy, just because I want to look at the manual setup. We can actually set up Exchange, so that's good. The fact that RoadSync is on here made me think that perhaps we couldn't set up an ordinary Exchange email account, but it looks like we can. So POP3, IMAP and Exchange are supported, so that's pretty good. I won't bother to set those up just now because it'll take a while, but I'll do that when we actually do the full review. So I think that sort of covers most of the basic applications and the basic features of the handset. We'll have a full review for you over on tracyandmatt.co.uk over the next couple of weeks. We actually will be using it as one of our normal handsets. We're using it in daily use, and we'll be able to tell you what we think of it. So over the next couple of weeks we'll have a full review for you. In the meantime, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/tracyandmatt. We'll update you with anything that we've got in, all of our new review handsets, unboxings and all other bits and pieces. Other bits and pieces of news will be tweeted, so you'll be able to follow us and get your latest updates. We'll be back soon on tracyandmatt.co.uk with some more videos and reviews, but for now, thanks for watching.